Okay, so just before I hit the record button, I said to Kat, I said, you know what? We could just talk for an hour and people are going to listen because people love you that fucking much. It is
Oh,
so
let's
true.
chat.
I swear to God, it really doesn't even matter what we talk about. People just love you so fucking much that they're just gonna be like, Cat's on the show. Let's freaking go. Because everything that you say, that's the way I feel about you. You guys, Catherine. Oh, I'm gonna call you now Catherine because I see that you're changing your
No,
whole vibe on Instagram. So is it Catherine again?
Meta made me do that to get verified. You have to like they made me put in my whole name
Oh, shut the
because
fuck
of
up. Is
my
that why you did
yeah. I literally if anyone calls me Catherine, like I don't even respond. I don't think of that as my name, but it's my legal name and they would not verify me until, because it doesn't match my license or whatever. And um my
Oh, I
account had
just
gotten
figured
hacked
this was
like
like changing your whole entire vibe because everything's
no.
changing with you. And so I was like, oh, should I call you by your new name, Catherine? Who the fuck is
No,
that?
exactly. I hate it. I wish I could change it, but they wouldn't verify me without
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, it's Kat Golden. Never
it.
mind, because that's who I just love and adore so, so much. And I asked her after I was driving home from something and I was in the car for like 2 hours and I was like, hey, I have time to chat. Do you want to talk? Well, sure enough, that was the quickest 2 hour ride home ever because I'm like pulling into the driveway, sitting on the driveway. And Nathan's like, he comes outside to the car. He's like, are you okay? I was like, oh yeah, I've been talking to Kat for the last 2.5 hours.
That's the best.
Oh my God, it was literally the best thing ever. And I can't wait to do it again. But you guys, Kat Golden, it says Catherine online, but only because of Meta. Kat's back on the show, and we were talking about the other day how she has just truly kind of been transitioning right now. And I feel like so many people can totally resonate with life transitions. I mean, my God, you and I were talking about it when we were in the car. Like when I transitioned from being a professional golfer to what I'm doing now in the coaching space, I mean, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done because my identity
Mhm.
was so wrapped in that. And now you're making this big transition from nurses inspire nurses into like basically like the hype connection brand ambassador teacher girl that everyone fucking loves and obsessed. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It is weird. Transitions are weird. And I like talking about it because I think that there's so much value to talk about it while you're doing it, versus just having like a finished product and being like, yeah, I transitioned. It's great. And I'm still like unclear on certain pieces, but I think there's so much value in transparency and just kind of embracing the journey and seeing what happens. And I've learned so much even in the last year as I've transitioned and we're not all wrapped up yet, but it's been a wild ride.
Do you think you'll ever wrap up? Like, I just don't know if it's like there's this like wrap
No,
up piece to it. Like, I
no.
think that that's what everyone thinks, right? Like, when I have the money, when I have the fame, when I lose the weight, when I have kids, when. And like, I never feel like that's part of it.
No, that's so true. Yeah, it's never, because then that piece wraps up, quote, wraps up, and then there's a new one. So
Yeah. Like, who knows? 3 years from now, Kat could be popping out babies and getting married. We never know.
I don't think that will happen, but
I didn't know that we would be moving on from nurses inspire nurses either. So why don't before we go on, in case anyone on the planet doesn't know who you are, you should immediately go follow Catherine Golden, aka Kat Golden, right now, because she is literally one of the humans on the planet that I respect more than anything else. And anyone I know who truly knows Kat knows that you can 100% respect her and what she says is gold. And there's very few people, I believe, in this world, let alone in this industry, that have that reputation. And I doubt to find one person who doesn't believe that to be true. So thank you for being
thank
here.
you.
And I just respect the living shit out of you. So tell everyone kind of like where you were, what you were doing, and where we're at now. And then we can kind of go into it.
Yeah, so I mean, I still have Nurses Inspire Nurses. It's my first little baby. And basically, I started it 5 years ago, kind of by accident. Like, I was really just being myself. And it's so funny. I wanted to make my work environment better working as a nurse. And it makes me laugh. Like I was getting our shift sponsored. Like basically the direction I took the company. I just talked about this on my brand collab workshop. I was like, I got our shift sponsored. Like my first photo shoot, I was just sending cold emails in the middle of the night while I was working and got like scrubs, like 13 nurses I decided to have in this photo shoot, which like I didn't even really have a company. That's a lot of people. I'm like, yeah, I'll do this whole shoot. We have to have scrubs. And like, I'm so crazy. But, I just really wanted to show nurses a different way and that we were human first. And no one was talking about it when I started. And so we just really grew really quickly and, did a couple really big deals. And, then the pandemic happened and all the things. And through that business, I really saw myself in a different light. I think I had to like prove to myself what I could do. And every year we had a huge nurse party. And last year when we had our nurse give back night, and I just literally remember looking around and being like, oh my God, I have so many gifts and talents that have nothing to do with nursing. Like, I think I saw myself as a marketer for the first time. And then my ex, like, I really, helped him with his brand and at the racetrack. And he is a professional racer. And it was an industry I knew nothing about. And I also saw what I was able to do with that. And so I just saw myself in a different light, I think. And I allowed myself to say, hey, I don't have to, try to blow up NIN and continue to grow it. If I don't want to, I can pursue these other things. So I had to take a lot of action to make sure that that business was set. And so we actually downsized and simplified. And I think that's something else a lot of people don't talk about. So I could pursue these other things. And I'm so much happier now. I don't have a lot figured out. I have some things figured out, not a lot, but I'm doing what I'm good at. And I think that comes out, like people see that, and it feels good and it's exciting. So yeah, we're kind of fortunate in that.
I just think that it's so incredible because one of the things that I think most people do is they grow this like either name or this brand or this company or whatever, and then they feel like they're stuck in it. And I know that, so like, I mean, I've worked with a lot of people and I've been in the same position where you feel like you have to stay in that spot because like that's how everyone knows you. You're already successful. Like you have this multi-million-dollar brand and it's like now all of a sudden you're like being like, okay, I'm good now. I did that, on to the next thing. And people are just like, are you fucking kidding me? She's
I
walking
know,
away
like
from that.
I started an email list with 0 people under
Zero.
my Cat Golden. And I was like, wow, like my goal was to have 200 people on my email list by the time I launched my program. And like, that's a weird spot to be. Like, add a lot of zeros to that is our NIN email list, like tens of thousands, So to go to be like, I want to have 200 people, but like, cool, who cares?
It's fucking amazing. And obviously like things that I talk about all the time are confidence and self-trust, because like those are like, you can't do anything without those two things. Like you are just one thing that I believe to be true about you. And I've said it on this podcast probably 15 times, if I haven't said it 1,000. You are the number one person I know. And I think I'm probably a close second or third, but you trust yourself above all else. Like I literally remember thinking to myself, like God himself could walk down, and if Kat doesn't feel like it is in alignment for her, she's deuces.
Oh,
you told me you were working with like this high powered oh my gosh, accountant, what's a chief financial officer. You were working with this high powered chief financial officer, and he's like, Kat, this is probably not a good decision. And you're like, what? I don't really give a fuck. This is what I feel, and I'm going to do it anyway. And I just think to myself, there is like nothing more powerful than that, because it's always worked out because you have so much self-trust.
Yeah, I know. No, I can't help it. I know. But I think like I feel it so deeply because that is how I know I will ultimately be successful. And I think that so few people, there's just so much noise out there and everyone's like looking for the next thing. And And I don't know. I think we're like all on our own path. And at the end of the day, like I have had so many mentors and like I do ask for advice, but it's always through the lens of like what will work for me. And I've even struggled with that like in coaching and I've figured it out now. I think, we just all have to have experience, but I didn't even, mentor or coach for a while because I was like, hold on, like how I need to teach in a way that I make sure that people can still be their authentic selves, and I figured that out now, but yeah, I don't know. It's just so interesting to me. Like at the end of the day, like you have to put your head down on your pillow at night. Like, I don't know. It's
That is
weird.
fucking the exact word that I've used all the time. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
if like I know to my core, people might not like me. I might not always get it right. But at the end of the day, Christina's the only person who has to put her head on the pillow. And I truly try to live to where if I'm putting my head down on the pillow at night, I can live with myself. I can be okay with myself. I
Mhm.
have to trust myself above all else, and I have to go against the grain. I mean, you and I talked about it last year when all that shit in our kind of online space was all happening. And
Mhm.
even though it bugged me so much, I always knew I was like, you know what? Stay on this path, stay on this path, trust yourself, take the higher road. I know it doesn't make sense. Take the higher road. And now, like a year later, I'm just kind of going, fucking told y'all. I fucking
I
told
know.
you.
Yep.
I told you. I told you.
Yeah, and I think too, like, I think now, I think like I'm thinking, what would I tell the cat of like 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Like, it's taken me a while to get even as like crazy as I am now, but I think like now my brain has evidence to be like these exact situations, like I even just recently had a situation with someone I knew in business and some stuff happened and the way it was handled, I was like, oh my God, this is really kind of crazy. And it was like a reminder to me, like I was getting a lesson without the one being in the lesson, which is always like the best, when you're like, oh, I could just observe and still learn. Nothing bad happened, but I was like, man, this is why it's just, yes, sometimes it's hard to speak your truth and to do that thing, but in the long run, it is always better. Like it
Always.
is just always better. And like, even for myself, like I built NIN on being transparent and speaking my truth. And when I decided, this year we weren't going to have Nurse Give Back Nights the first year, this would have been the sixth one. Even in the pandemic, we still did stuff all through it. And I was like, man, it is so hard. Like, I have to put my face on this camera and do this live and say, like, I'm choosing myself. And I actually think you all need to do the same exact thing. And like, some people loved it and were like, yes, you deserve it. Like, we're so happy. And other people were sad and other people didn't get it. And they were like nervous and like had questions. And that's fine. But I was like, this is my journey and I need to be upfront. Like, I'm not going to just fly under the radar and be like, no, we're not going to have a party. I already had a title sponsor for this party. Literally, already had people ready to go. I was like, even talking to the Detroit Lions about doing something. And I was like, I just can't do it because it's going to suck all my energy. And I need to like choose myself this year. And I've said that. And guess what? Now no one's surprised. Do we get any what are they going to say to me, even if they don't like it? Cat told us straight to our face. Like,
Oh, it's so good. So how do you think that you have cultivated that over the years? Like, where did that originally start? Or have you always had that? I think it's a little bit of both. Like, I think you have to train that muscle. I think you constantly have to be pushing that muscle because like maybe it's saying no to the Detroit Lions now, but like how many years ago was it saying no to like, a one person or whatever it is? But like how have you done that? Because so many people cannot be themselves and so many people cannot trust themselves and like have the confidence to be their most authentic self.
yeah, that's a good question. I actually don't really think that I was always this way. Like, I think I maybe had it there and I wanted to, but I actually think like growing up, it was not cultivated at all. Like in my family, like we did not have autonomy. And so I think it set me down a path almost that like I didn't want to go on, but I think ultimately like that happened for me, you know? So like because I didn't have that growing up and then I got married and went through this divorce and it was like this crazy situation and I really lost everything. When you lose everything, it kind of gives you you don't give a fuck because you already lost everything. So to me, there was so much shame. Like I came from such a highly religious and like it just this crazy upbringing. And then to go through that, it was so shameful, like to my family and to da da da, all these things. And so for me to even say that I was divorced, it was very difficult for me. And my brother actually, when like everyone found out what was happening, he left his job in Chicago, moved out to Colorado to live with me, and showed me like so much support, like the greatest gift that anyone's ever given to me. Me and my brother are best friends. We talk every day. Um, so I think because of that, it was just like a line in the sand. And obviously, like I went to therapy and worked on myself. But because of that, and because I lost everything, like it was just like, I mean, I literally had no money. I was like 28 years old and babysitting for like $200 cash. You know what I mean? So like, because of that, I was just like, well, it's really not getting any shittier than this. So like, what do I have to lose? And then when I did my big $1 million like t-shirt deal, I remember there was some things with that to me it was never about the money. Like I spoke my truth always and I felt so great about that, and that deal really taught me like I will not compromise my values. I ended up like not continuing to work with them and could have made millions and millions, and I mean it would have been like my consulting rate was crazy, and I didn't continue it. And so I think after that, I'm like, I just know so strongly, like money comes, money goes, relationships come, relationships go. Like it's me and me at the end of the day. So now I'm just so upfront because why wouldn't I be? And people respect it. Like now I have that evidence. Like now when I do collaborations and I do all these things, I'm like, hey, this is who I am. These are my values. Nobody's confused about this. They meet me, they see me online, like they're like, yep, Kat's the same. Cool. Like nobody is surprised. But I think like those situations and now having evidence, it's just easier now. And I mean, who knows? I hope that I'm in a situation again where I'm like tried, you know? I mean, new level, new devil. That's what Lori would always say. And I think that's so true. But
Oh, it's so true. New level, new devil. I love that so much. I've heard that a few times. I didn't know Lori said that.
that's where I first learned it. I remember Lori saying it years ago, and I just like that was something that's always stuck with me because I feel it so deeply. I'm like, yeah, it will just be something else. Like at a zero hanging in my office forever. Me and my friend Amanda would always say, like, at a zero, like there's just different problems. Yeah, I want to have, you know, million and multi-million dollar problems, but still at the end of the day, it's like you have to have that trust in that being yourself.
Do you think people can get that without having quote unquote? I've asked so many people, so many guests on this podcast this question. Do you think that people can have that and understand that without a rock bottom moment? I had to have my rock bottom moment in order to get me to this place.
So I actually don't think you can until you have it, but I think if you could somehow like get yourself uncomfortable enough to recreate that like emotional feeling or something, like it's something with like you feeling that in your core, whatever that is to you. So I don't know if you could recreate that, but my thought is like kind of not. Probably, I don't know.
I know. I always feel like there has to be something. And I kind of wish, like, I think I remember hearing one time on a podcast, maybe like 10 years ago, where a guy was talking about how the hardest thing in the world to do is to really talk to like that adolescent. So, like that 15 to 18-year-old person and really make them understand. Like, do you remember when you were like that age and like someone told you something and you literally like just did not understand what they're saying? Like I wish I could go
Yeah.
back and like
Yeah, but you don't have the experience.
you don't have the experience, but God, don't you think it would be so amazing if you could talk to someone like that? Like, and that's what I think we need in order to not have these rock bottom moments where you're like literally broke living with your brother, or you're like myself, like freaking eating disordered, not wanting to live. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think like,
See, I don't know. Like, I argue with that because I'm like, that's the lesson. Like,
totally.
when I
I wouldn't
see
be here without that. That's for fucking sure.
yeah, like when I see someone like these people that I look up, you know, like a Sarah Blakely, and I'm like, yeah, like how many difficult moments did she have to get like everybody wants the shortcut? And I'm just like, no,
No,
it
I
doesn't work
I
that way.
100% agree with you. There is absolutely no fucking shortcut. Like, absolutely no fucking shortcut. And I think that that's like the biggest problem, right? Because social media, just like you said when we started this
Totally.
podcast, social media just shows you the end product. Like, literally, do you not have people, like, maybe you have a like really amazing group around you, but like I have people in my life who will say to me still to this day, like, well, you're just really lucky. Everything's just,
Oh
really lucky.
yeah.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are not like, what are you like, what are you kidding? Like, yes, there's some luck, but like, fuck, are you joking?
Well, it's crazy because, and we're people that show a lot, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
I show like
people know
80%.
exactly. I'm like, I show myself working literally all the time. How does that not core? I mean, this weekend I worked like every hour of, I mean, I was at the gym at 8 a.m. on Saturday. I literally worked. It's crazy. And I'm happy to do it. Like that's the
Yeah.
season I'm in. I wouldn't do it if I didn't want to do it. But it's like, do you know how many hours I put in? This is one thing I will say though. I had someone tell me this, like my friend Lacey, like almost 2 years ago. And I think it is, I have never heard someone say this, and you are the same as me. She said, people associate work with being unhappy, like the general public, right?
Yeah.
So, because you're so happy and high energy, as are you, people, when they see what you're doing, they are not correlating it in their mind as quote hard work because you're so high vibe and you're so happy. And I'm like, oh, and I've had so many employees. Like I've had issues with it with when I had my warehouse and team, like people come on full time and they're like, wait, what? Because they think it's just like a party. And like, I'm like, oh no, I will not be at work. Like you do literally do not know what you, and I tell them ahead of time to their face. Like Carl, my ex, would be like, are you trying to scare? He's like, I don't think he worked, you know, he's obviously in corporate. He's like, I do not think you should be saying that. I'm like, I am trying to scare these people away because they are then going to start working with me and be like, oh my God. He's like, oh my God, these interviews, he would be so uncomfortable. He's like, this is crazy. And they still would be like, what? It's
But
because you're so happy and high energy. They don't associate that with work. So
that
you're
is actually
lucky.
really good. I've never actually heard that before.
Me either. My one friend told me that because she said like she felt that. She's like, I've like really thought a lot. I was like, this is such a gift. Like I was so grateful she told me that. I was like, I have never thought about that, but you're so right. Cause like think about the majority of the population. They're not like happy going to work, all high vibe, like they're wishing for something else.
Yeah, most people fucking dread Monday mornings. You know, one of my longtime clients, I loved her so much. She um she came up, like we were working together, and she wasn't even really working with me for business stuff, and she was in a kind of a hard season, but Mondays was her favorite day because she thought of Monday as like a restart to her week or whatever. So we transitioned every day as a Monday. So like, how's your Monday, even if it's on a Thursday or whatever it is. But that is so good. Most people fucking hate Mondays. Most people
Yeah.
hate Mondays. I love Mondays. Like Mondays is like my busiest client day. Like I'm like, fucking let's go. Like let's get some shit done on a Monday. That's so good. I never even thought of that. But you know what, the work part, my husband literally thrives on that. Like my husband
Oh,
still to this day, you know, his company, they do $50 million in revenue or whatever they do. And he will literally fucking sweep the floors at 4 a.m. to
oh.
beat people to the job site because he's like, no one will ever beat me to the job site. You might as well get up at 3 a.m. or stay 24 hours a day because you are not going to beat me.
Love it. Like that's how I am. I'm like, nobody in this company is ever, no one would ever say anything to me because like nobody outworks me. I'm like, yeah, what are you gonna say?
Exactly. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So now that NIN, you're kind of taking it in a different direction and you're doing
Yeah.
a lot more like mentorship and coaching, and you're talking a lot about brands. So you had this epiphany moment at the last Nurses Give Back night. You kind of looked around and you're like, holy shit. And do you know what's so interesting? I've always thought that about you. Like
I
everyone is,
know.
you know what I mean? Like you finally just
Everybody
saw it.
besides me.
Yeah, that's so you. Like there is not another person on the planet that shows up in the way that you do, with the vibration, with the look, with the like, with everything. Like, and you
I know.
fucking love it. That's the
I
best part,
know.
is you fucking love it.
I live for it.
You live for it. Like your outfits, your
I
vibe, how you
know.
put everything on, it's fucking amazing. So one thing that though that I really do understand about you, and that I've understood from day one when I first started doing corporate golf outings, because basically what that meant was companies hired me to play golf with executives. And I called it the trifecta. I had to play golf a certain way. I had to look a certain way, but I had to communicate a certain way. And I'll be honest, the year that it kind of light bulb moment for me, we brought in this girl. She was like a $50,000 daily, like her, that was her daily fee. She was a big celebrity in the golf world. She definitely looked pretty good. But I remember at the end of the event, the client come back to me, said, "That was great. We'll see you next year." And I think the thing that I was able to do, because I've always thought about it, like I am not the best looking, I'm definitely not the best golfer, but the thing that I can do better than anyone else is the sense of human connection. I can read a person within 2 seconds. I know whether I can walk up to the tee box and be like, "What's up, fuckers? Let's go." Or, "Hey guys, how are we doing today?" Like, and learn about them as a human being. Because most of the people that were coming to these events, they were there because of business, right? So not every one of them
Yeah.
loves golf. If I could, within the first 15 minutes, figure out whether this guy was a, Pittsburgh Steelers fan, or he loved fishing, or he was obsessed with like fucking Lego, I don't really care. But as long as I could make that human connection, it was game on. And these guys wanted me year after year. That is the thing that you do so well.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so too. It's just people things. It's a little intangible, and I think that's why I always
It's a hard
struggled.
thing to put a monetary value on because people don't
It
understand
is.
it. But
They don't.
once you get it, that's why I didn't even need that many clients year after year. I did this for like 10 years because every fucking year they brought me back. So I didn't need to find a bunch of new clients. If I did 25 events a year with the same 25 people for the next 10 years, I knew it would like kind of eventually fade out, but that's you. That's 100% you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I've yeah, it just was intangible for so long, but I think building Nurses Inspired Nurses helped me, my brain, and helped, I mean, again, like you just need credibility, right? In the business world, like ROI and, all the things, like it can't just be all fluff, like when people are spending a shit ton of money. So, um, yeah, I think that just gave my brain credibility, but 100%, it's just a little intangible, but now it's not. Now I don't feel like it is.
So now what is the main goal? Now the goal is to help the brands, or what are we doing now? Because I want people to understand this, because I know there's a ton of people that listen to this podcast that either own their own company or in business or whatever it is.
Yep. So, well, we're in a transition, so I'm still figuring that out, but I do know the route. And so when I last year decided to like, start a new business and go all in on my personal brand, I named it the Middle Woman because that's how I view myself. Like I am the middle woman between companies and brands that want to connect with their customers. And it's not so much a what, because I think, and I know people say, "Oh, you need to specialize in an industry." Fuck that. I think I can do it for any industry because it's just people. And I'm like, still have yet to meet someone that I could not give an idea to or help. So I'm like open to that challenge. Someone come to me. But it's humanizing the brand. And that's what I don't hear people talking about because I'm such a people person. And that's where I've seen with NIN so many of these corporations, but even small personal brands miss the mark is in humanizing their brand. And when you humanize your brand, you increase brand loyalty, and you can really increase organic sales. And that is what I'm passionate about is, it's the connection piece. I think connection is just maybe a little fluff, but it's really in humanizing the brand. There's so many different ways you can do that, no matter how big your company is. And that's why brands have hired me. That's why I work with Bubblers, CeraVe, all these huge corporations that need that human piece that I can bring them. Barco, our scrub company we work with, that's been around for 100 years. And they're calling me to say, hey, what should we do about X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, yeah, you need to humanize. The world's changed, and people want to work with real people. And so I think that's my gift, whether it be like a hairstylist, an esthetician, or, CeraVe, a bubbler, they need to humanize too. Bubbler actually does an awesome job. That's why they like me, and my energy. But yeah, it will be in humanizing the brand. What that looks like exactly is the piece I'm still figuring out. It's consulting. I've been able to do some of that, but also I'm a doer. Like, I want to help you humanize. I want to be at the events. I need to be there in person. I need to see what's happening. I'm hands-on. Like, let me create the content. Let me work with your marketing team to help you create the content. And then I think brand collabs is a part of that. Like, I think so many people are missing out because they're not doing partnerships right, or even partnering at all. And that's what I've been able to do with NIN that I don't see people doing, like using these companies' marketing dollars to give back to their clients. And it just makes you look good. Every single person in this scenario wins. The customer's getting free product, the brands that are getting their product out, and then all my customers come back to me. Like, we have a 50% return customer rate on our e-com, which is like unheard of, because we just take care of them as people. We always have free gifts. We're always giving back to them. What company do you not want to work with that's like, yeah, here's your like $75 value CeraVe product gift bag. And CeraVe's like, oh my God, Kat's handing out thousands of products for us. And I'm just like, yeah, everyone's happy here. It's great.
Okay, so let's get this tangible. Like, what is, like, if someone's listening to this podcast that has their own company, let's say they're a esthetician, like, what are some tangibles that you have done to like share their brand and like humanize their brand? Like, what can people do? So like, yes, we want people to work with you, but like, let's give them a win right now. Yeah, exactly.
Let's tell them two things right now that they can do. Number one biggest mistake I find, that the reason it's not humanized, is everyone is talking to all their customers like they're the same blanket. They're not connecting with them at wherever they're at. First, human, exactly what you said. You have to connect with them on a human level. We don't talk to everyone the same. So if you divide it, and you can go, I have post examples on my Instagram, Kat L. Golden. Go there, and I'm literally telling you what to post. 4 different types of customers, potential customers. You have to calm their fears and explain their process. Human, what are their fears? Like, example, you said esthetician or waxer. Say you've never gotten your eyebrows waxed. You're like nervous. Say you've never gotten a spray tan. You're like, am I going to be orange? Like, we're not addressing fears and explaining process. First time customers, human things, build a relationship. Tell them like, hey, when you come see me, we're probably going to be listening to Beyonce. I always wear my party pants. Like, if you want to bring me a coffee, I love that. Like, what is a human thing? Connect with them. Follow up with them. How was your wedding? You came in for a tan. How did it go? Are you like, we just chopped all your hair off. How do you feel about it? Connect with them. VIP customers, what the fuck are you doing to keep these people? When they refer people to you, tell them thank you. It is simple. Send them a card. Share their shit. Check in on them. Know when their life events are. Like, I send people flowers that have like, people have sent, I have customers that have placed over 100 orders with me. Like, what are we doing for these people? And then MIA customers, like, you should be adding so much value that you're showing up and giving value without expectation. If you are expecting something, it is not value. So if you are giving value and establishing yourself as an authority without expectation, again, checking on them, connecting with them without asking for something we are not selling, adding value, your people will come back. Hopefully you do such a good job in the first 3, you're not losing people, but that. Second thing, this is really crazy, but I actually am just going to start posting about it because I've had great success with it. Humanize your brand. If no matter how big a corporation I was, or if I was an individual hairstylist, I would pick an inanimate object in my business and I would name it. and I would give it a personality and a life. And I'm going to tell you why I would do that. I've had great success with this. I named my van Duke. I gave him a whole personality. I said he was the only boy on our team. We were like a women power. We just had this one boy, Duke. He loved giving gifts to the nurses. He was like, I made all these things about where he was going. I put him in videos. Nurses would take their pictures with him. We would get tags in the wild. I call my dog my manager. And the reason that I do this is because it lets your personality out. And people are always like, I don't know what to post about. I don't know what to talk about. But you kind of get like an alter ego situation when you have like this inanimate object, because it's like that thing can say things that like you can't maybe. So like I just told my hairstylist, if I was her, she's like, what would I do? I'm like, you have your Dyson, your blow dryer. I would start talking about this Dyson. I would give it a name. I'd be like, she's working overtime. Like we had all these clients today. Like I would start saying like, hey, Linda likes it when you come in with your hair already clean. Like I didn't know. I go to my hairstylist. My hair's like so sweaty after my workout, and they're trying to like tiptoe around that I'm like not supposed to do that. I literally didn't know. I'd be like, hey, Linda prefers when you come in like not and haven't washed your hair in 10 days. Like just you can say shit in a different way. Like Bubbler, they have like a Bubbler can guy. Name this guy, send him out. Everyone wants their photos with him. Maybe he's like, it's his birthday and we post about him. Maybe he gives away freebies. You tag him in the wild, like anything.
Oh my God, this is all just so fucking good. I'm like, you guys, everyone who's listening to this, rewind back like the last 4 minutes, get some fucking notes. Go follow Kat right now. But you know what's so funny? I'm immediately thinking like, oh gosh, what do I have in my life?
You have your microphone.
My microphone on the podcast. But you know what I'm thinking I actually do that with right now is my husband. I feel like
you
my husband
do.
is like the fucking, oh my God, every time I bring Nathan on my Instagram stories, I swear to God, I go up by like 500 views whenever my husband's on the post. I swear to God, it's so easy. I just need to start saying shit I don't want to say.
Exactly. But when my dog, everyone says that. And I started calling him my manager so long ago, and I don't know why. And it just adds like another character and level. And sometimes like the same thing, probably what you're saying with Nathan, like sometimes it's just easier to take the attention off yourself, like versus like it's just a different, I don't know. I don't see people doing this and I don't know why. And I think it's like the easiest hack. And no matter how big or small your brand is, you can do it.
Oh my God, that's all so much fucking gold. You guys, I'm dead serious. Go hit rewind, listen to it on like, halftime speed, take some fucking notes and add some of these things. Then reach out to Kat once you see that they actually work. One thing that you do that I always try to do is I always just try to remember, because I think in our industry especially, and especially if coaches or whatever, people are just fucking scammy and slimy. Like totally. I will tell you, I have literally to this day, there's people who started following me like 5, 6, 7 years ago, however long it is. I will literally think about that person. Like this is a hack. And I've said it's created me $1 million easily in business. I have a master client list of basically every single person I've talked to. And all I do is just write down their name. I write like a couple little notes about them. Like I say, like, lives in Michigan, has a manager dog, owns Nurses Inspire Nurses. Whenever I have something come up, I'll just send it to them, just because it's a fucking human being. Like if a person never gives me $1, but I am being a human to them, you never know. That person may never give you $1, but they may refer people to you. They may you never 100%. Fucking know where it's going to come from. But when you treat people as human beings first, that was your whole entire brand. Humans first. Humans first. And it's such like a mind fuck, and it's so simple, but if everyone did it, their businesses would be so much better.
100%. And this is what I keep saying, so few people do this that like it's not hard to stand out. I'm like, so few people, because to me the reason is exactly what you're saying. That's a little intangible. You're saying I'm going to do something and there's not like guaranteed XYZ reward, right? Has it made you $1 million plus? 100%. Like no doubt in my mind. And I'm the same way. That's why I give exponentially, because I'm like, yeah, it's reciprocity. It's psychological. If you give to people, they want to give back to you. It just makes it's just how it works. but it's not like some guaranteed formula. And
Yeah.
people are like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, okay, well,
So
great. I'll
exactly,
stick it
that's
out.
why they'll go hire the person that does, some bullshit, says some bullshit, woo woo bullshit. When
Exactly.
at the end of the day, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, there's no way to kind of say, like, you do this thing and you'll fucking get this ROI guaranteed for sure. I mean, like, I've got the fucking proof, but yeah, it's not science. But also at the same time, and when you believe it's science in your head, it's fucking science.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Couldn't agree with that more. So
Uh,
human things, do those. If you did those two things, yeah, you'll get some good feedback.
100%. And let's forget about the money part. You'll enjoy your fucking life better because there's not
100%.
like, I literally have a few clients right now. I probably have a half a dozen clients right now that all do 7 figures and above. And I'll tell you, I guarantee the reason why a lot of people work with me is I don't give two fucks how much money you make if you're fucking miserable. And people don't want to be
Exactly.
fucking miserable. They don't. Because what they figure out, I'm thinking about one of my clients in particular. They fucking crushed it. And literally verbatim on our discovery call together, they said, we thought when we got to this level, like, things were going to change. They
No.
fucking didn't.
Mm-mm.
They fucking didn't. It's a new, like, I wish everyone could understand, but everyone does understand once they get to that level, whether they lose the weight, whether they have the kid, whether they make the $1 million, whatever, put your fucking whatever you want in that blank. Unless you enjoy the experience while you're at, $50, you won't enjoy it at 50 million. You just fucking won't.
No, that's how I manifest because I just like I'm like, well, what do I want? How do I want to feel? I'm gonna act like I already got it. That's on my
Exactly.
email list. I don't care. I'll start my email list over. I'm like, yeah, I'll know one day it'll be huge. Well, just act like it's huge now.
Exactly. On my Instagram, there's some days that, like, my views are so bad. I got, like, nailed by using my own trademark. My views went down on my stories to like 300 or 400. I don't really give two fucks. I'm still going to show up for those people
Exactly.
no matter what. No matter
100.
fucking what. No matter fucking
100.
what.
That's why I
Um,
love you. We're the same.
oh my God. That's why I love you too. But also too, I think I want people to understand that, like, Kat literally showed up like this. You and I met right when you started NIN. Like, you were like, what,
Yeah. Yeah.
6 months
I
into
just
NIN?
started.
You
Yeah.
guys, Kat has been the exact, and I think that's one of the reasons why we like each other, is because we actually have known each other for a long period of time, and you
Yeah.
can't fucking smoke and mirrors this for 5 years. Like, she walks the walk, guys, walks the fucking walk. And she and I both know that there's 100 people on the online space that we both know that do not walk the fucking walk, like, at all. 100%. It is smoke and mirrors. Kat is that person. Like, you are this person. Like, this is
I know
100% you. That's the greatest compliment ever. When people meet me in
it
person, they're
is. And
like,
I thank you. It is. And people tell me that when they meet me in person too. They're like, oh, you're exactly the same. I'm like, yep.
I know, me too. I was like, what? Yeah, like, but it's kind of weird that, a lot of people don't expect that, right? Like,
I
but I also
know.
think that that's the industry that we're in, because you've met a few people, and I know I have too, that I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, you're nothing like you are online. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. It's sad.
So right now, when you're in this transition, because I know that there's a lot of people that are kind of in this position right now, I think the difference between you and a lot of people in your position is you truly are enjoying this season. I think you
Mhm.
obviously have had hard days. We've talked about a few of those personally together and things like that. Like, it's not like this perfect cakewalk, but it's also, you truly know from the bottom of your soul that it's going to work out. Like, you have
Mhm.
that unwavering faith that it is going to work out and that it's all coming together. But what would you say to that person who probably doesn't have the attitude that you do? What would you say to that person to keep them going?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I will say, probably even like 6 months ago, I was like, oh my God, is it going to work out? I was still feeling a little some kind of way. That's probably like one of the times we talked. But I think what I would say that I really focused on was there has to be something, no matter how small, that is working, that you can be grateful for, or um I just was focusing on how I wanted to feel, and kind of like what I was saying earlier, I asked myself, well, if I had the answers to all of these questions, what would I do? And I was like, okay, whatever that is, I'm going to do it now. And I was so crazy. I made myself like a little grid, like a little spreadsheet thing. And I was like, every day I'm going to do these things. Like, if I really want my life to look different in 6 months or a year, I have to feel really good. Because to your point, what we already talked about, I'm like, if I get to whatever goal or whatever and I feel like shit, then what's even the point? So I really just made my little grid, and I was like, what feels good? Like, I know I need to be around people. I want to feel good in my home. Like, I care about my space. I want that to feel really good. Like, it wasn't actually anything related to my quote, like, transitions, my business. I just personally wanted to feel really good. And then I knew if I did, that would make me excited to work. So I started like going to see more live music and just focusing on what I could control. And then that gave me, I think, so many more ideas and made me excited about work. And it was honestly like just small daily actions, which is why I made my little grid, like something I'm going to read every morning, something I'm going to do. And then like I had a couple business things on there. But it was just no secret. It was just kind of like those small daily actions. And I think too, like just giving ourselves permission, like at first, I thought with this transition, I was like, oh, it's customer experience. That's what it is. And I taught some workshops, and I'm going to continue to because I'm super passionate about customer experience. But it's like, wait, it's through the lens of humanizing. If someone doesn't want to humanize, I don't care about their customer experience. But I have to take action to figure that out. I'm like, we can just take action and figure it out. We don't have to put so much pressure on ourselves.
I had
That's kind of a wrong answer.
no, that's a beautiful answer because it's very similar. So I reached out to her name is Natasha, and she owns the #1 Trader Joe's account in the world. It's called the Trader Joe's list. You fucking shop at Trader Joe's, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know you. Do you follow Trader Joe's list?
I don't know. I'll have to look.
You probably do. It's got like 5 million. I think she's got 5 or 6 million because Trader Joe's doesn't, and they have a horrible, like what you do. They have it's horrible. Trader Joe's is like the actual Trader Joe's is really bad at that because they don't work with her at all. Like she's got 5 million followers on Trader Joe's.
Isn't that crazy?
Beyond bonkers. Beyond. Like this bitch could kill them. Yeah, like it's amazing. But anyway, what she said why she did the podcast, she didn't know me, and we got connected through our mutual friend. So she races bikes as well. And one of my best friends is like, she's Olympic marathoner and all the bullshit. But anyway, so they connected me, and she said she looked at a couple of my posts, and she said the reason why she said yes to the podcast was she said it is about action. It's about taking the next step. It's about taking the next step. She said when she saw me say, listen, guys, it's everyone stops themselves because they're thinking 10 steps down the road. Will it work? What if it doesn't? And they paralyze themselves from taking the next step. Kat just told you, Kat has created a multi-million-dollar business in the last 5 years, and she is making this transition, and she is taking it one step at a time. She is willing to do something today that she may not be willing to do or may not work 5 months down the road. But in order to get to 5 months down the road, she's doing the next fucking thing. And that's what stops every other person.
Yeah, it was so funny too, because even when I did my first like customer experience workshop, I asked my friend that owned a salon, I'm like, hey, I want to test out this content. I know enough to know it will be valuable for you. I got content of it. I like, you know what I mean? And then was that one the best one I've ever done? No, it wasn't. And I learned like 2 things. Then the next one, I'm like, okay. And then the next one, and do you know, because I did that for free, it's like public knowledge. I was able to I did it for free because I was testing it out. I'm not going to like charge her. I'm like, hey, I need to like practice this content. I got content so I could then promote it. I got a connection with Evolus, who is a pharmaceutical company that does Jeuveau, which is a brand of, like, we know Botox is a brand, but Jeuveau is the only FDA approved, like, for the beauty industry. Botox is a side effect, not saying it's not good, but whatever. Evolus, this company, I'm now a partner with them. I can now speak with them. I signed a contract for a year. I can now teach workshops. In Michigan, any nurse injector that does my program, they're giving a free vial of Jeuveau, which is like $1,000 to $1,500 value, all because I took that action. And now I have this fucking amazing partnership with these awesome people that love that I'm a nurse, love that I'm myself because I can connect. They want to humanize. So they're doing everything I teach. And now I just signed this contract with them for a year, and they're going to basically pay people to take my program.
Kat's forehead looks fucking fantastic. It does not have one motherfucking wrinkle because she is juvoed out, folks. I mean, that was a benefit too. You look perfect, and it's
Isn't
free.
that crazy?
Oh, it makes so much fucking sense. It makes so much sense. But again, you guys, Kat wouldn't be in this position if she didn't start from the very
Exactly.
beginning. You just have to start, you guys. Like, if you can take one thing, well, go back to about 10 minutes ago and go take notes on that, because you bet my ass I'm going to do the exact same thing. Go back about 10 minutes ago, listen to that. And then the next thing is just fucking start. You know, the whole brand, my whole brand has decided it's your turn. And it's just a matter of like just deciding, you guys. Decide, action, decision, faith, and action. That's the second thing that we have trademarked. That's the fucking process. Kat just decided. She takes so much action, and she has faith that everything's working out for her. She has faith that the next step is going to be presented to her. Like, you are a walking, talking billboard for epicness and amazingness. And I'm just so grateful to call you a friend. And you guys, please, please, please go follow her, whether you have your own business or not. Like, I mean, Kat is by far the #1 follow. I don't follow that many people. I don't really look at many people's shit. I look at Kat every single day because what she's doing, and also 100%. And so does everyone that really knows Kat and knows that we are all inspired by her showing up every single day. And I'm just so excited to know you and just grateful.
Let's go to a concert soon.
Oh my God, we're going to 100%. I go to concerts all the time. So do you.
I know.
When's your next one, you guys? And please just follow Kat just for her fucking look. Like, I'm gonna be like the most basic. Like, I got a fucking t-shirt and jeans on. Kat has a whole glam squad. You're like the fucking Beverly Hills Housewives over there. You got so much glam going on.
No, I have to let my personality out.
I love it. I love it so much. You already went to Beyonce, right?
Oh yeah, and talk about energy. Like, I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan. Like,
Neither am I.
I'm not like a diehard. Like, I'm just like, I loved her documentary, and I love like a lot of her old music and whatever. When I say I'm still shook over this whole talk about energy, it was so flawless. Like, the level of detail, her face and her presence and her engagement, talk about humanize. Like, I was like, oh, I just went to school. Like, I was sitting there, every single detail. And even when she changed outfits, it was about 7 or 8. I had a drink, and then I said, I have to stop. Like, I was like, I got to stay focused. Like, I didn't want to miss anything. Like, I was like, I can't even have another drink. Like, I was like, I got to remember every single thing. And like, even during the outfit changes, the videos, the stage, like the dancers, they were not all the same. The dancers had like incorporated pieces of her outfits. Like, she even had a tiny chain. I'm like, does that say Renaissance? Like, every single detail, flawless. Dancing, this level of energy. Oh my God. By far, I've never.
Did you see the Taylor Swift one too?
No, I didn't. And I went to Morgan Wallen and Beyonce, and I was like, if I would have went to Taylor Swift, I would have went to the trifecta. I don't love Taylor Swift. Like,
I don't like Taylor Swift, Beyonce, or Morgan Wallen. So there you go.
Yeah, well, so I respect Taylor. I think as a businesswoman, and
as a business person, 100%.
What she's been able to create, and she's very giving and all that. But like, to pay to go to her show, I honestly wanted to go. I had another, I went to the camp, and I had a brand collab thing with Bubbler, but the weekend she was in Detroit, I would have went with my friend Amanda. I wanted to go just to like more observe and like see
business side of it.
Like, yes. Like, I'm like, what is happening here? Like, what spell is she casting on these people? I gotta know.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone that I've heard that went to it said it was like literally one of the best shows ever. I mean, she went 44 songs. I mean, when I think about like a concert that I've been to, you and I both go to 1,000 concerts. Most people sing what, 10, 15 15, 20 songs max. She sings 44 in the pouring rain. Like it is pretty good. And the whole, you know, one thing that she does that I just learned this weekend from my niece was she gives away those bracelets, which by the way is exactly what you're talking about when you're
value add Humanize.
Exactly.
Everyone's posting about it. I'm like, hello, it is not rocket science.
It is genius that she's doing that. And then that's exactly what you just told us to do 10 minutes ago.
Exactly. I'm like, look at this. Like, it is not hard to figure out. I'm like, this is nuts. I had bracelets and everyone's like, oh, are those Taylor Swift bracelets? I'm like, no, I got them at Target. No.
So did she. Now she just charged $1,000 for them.
Exactly. I'm like, oh my God, like her merch sales alone, all of it, I'm like, she's killing it. And it's not hard to figure out. She adds value. She goes the extra mile. She humanizes. She talks to the fans. Like, she's rain or shine. She gives her truck drivers $100,000 bonuses. Like, I'm like, look.
Yep. Proof is in the pudding. Kat just told you what she's doing, and the number one concert of all time, gonna cross $1 billion in sales, you guys, is doing every single thing Kat just told you to do. And you can do it on a very, like, not Taylor Swift budget. It is that fucking simple. Be a human being.
Yeah, and give shit away, because I used to think I had to pay to give stuff away. Now I'm able to give stuff away and I don't pay because people have marketing dollars. Like, even my hairstylist, I'm like, write all their people and get samples. They all have samples. It costs them nothing. Write a handwritten note, make a little sample thing, and give all your people free product. If I went and I was getting hair masks, I'd be like, oh my God, thank you. It's easy.
Okay, you guys, it's easy. Give free shit away. Be a human. Give people, like, just give a shit. Give a shit. Create a human connection and make more money. And the most important part is have so much more fun, because Kat is literally a walking, fucking, talking billboard for enjoying your life. And that is, to me, the number one thing. I don't care how much money she has in her bank account. She is literally a walking billboard for enjoying life. And there's nothing more inspiring than that. I love you so much. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You guys go follow her right now. Catherine Golden, aka Kat Golden.